what's up? We're back to our regular scheduled program at regular hours on regular days. The chaos has maybe calmed down, maybe, at House Hall. What's up, everybody? It's the REKAP Lunch Hour with me, Guff, Ryan McGuffey, here at our REKAP studios. We already have the waiting room is off and running already. Pablo, of course, I should have known that you're in there, my man. Of course. Presser should have gone like that. We're going back to yesterday's presser. Pablo's already coming in hot. We need someone that wakes up, runs a marathon, then hauls ass to another state to go live on Thanksgiving. Chicago, please welcome your new head coach, Ryan McGuffey. I fucking love Pablo. Got to get Pablo into the office. I love this guy. Pablo, you're my guy, man. Seriously, we're getting you on the staff at some point. You want me to do the press conference at Hooters? Hey, I go where the checks are signed. So let's do that. Justin, what's up, man? I know you got baseball questions. I know for a fact you have baseball questions. Clyde already coming in. Feelings are hurt. I'm right here for you, Clyde. I told you I have your back, man. I had your back yesterday. Cap was actually answering your questions. Believe it or not. Clyde, I'll always look out for you. Baseball questions are coming. We're going to talk a little bit of hot stove. The MLB winter meetings start on Sunday. The Cubs did make the signing. Like all through this chaos of the Bears, there's been little things going along or happening in Major League Baseball. There's one thing I might want to talk about right now. Or not right now, but certainly about the MLB winter meetings and what some BS golden rule that they're talking about, golden batter rule. We'll see it. Antonio, first time catching you live. Big fan. Hey, brother. Appreciate having you. Welcome to the party. It's a party, man. I'm telling you, it's a party. At some point, we're going to get together and do it for real in person. I keep saying that, but we're in our infancy here. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Hang on. I can't. Don't hang on. I'm still here. I forgot our logo. Until we have catchy graphics for this awesome show. Let me drop the comments here real quick. Hang on. And the banner. We got to drop the banner. There it is. It's Lunch with Guff. This is my daughter's awesome graphic. So let's start this thing over again. There's our graphic. Graphics are up. Let's go. Fire away with our comments. We're to Pablo welcoming people. I love that. Pablo doesn't like it when there's like a ton of people, Katie, and I don't like that either. Katie's in house today, by the way. That's good. Katie's back. She's back from her triumphant holiday excursions, most of which I know about, some of which I don't want to. Pablo doesn't like when there's like 200 or 300 or 1,000 people in the room. I do, Pablo. There's always room for you, man. There's always room for more. Santos, why would the Cubs sign Matthew Boyd? I was going to talk about Matthew Boyd. He's Drew Smyly 2.0, and they're playing him like he's a number one, paying him like he's a number 1 through 3 starter. He's a 4 at best. I don't know what the Cubs are doing or thinking anymore. A lot to unpack there. I will start by telling you this. Okay, let's go to the Matthew Boyd contract, which I believe is 2 for $29, 2 years, $29 million. All right. It could take the deal up to $30 million. He's a Scott Boras guy. Shockingly, a lot of people are. By the way, Santos, the price of doing business for a number 3 through 5 starter is $15 million a year, man. Like, and on a shorter term. So I understand it. I actually brought it up to Cap as soon as they made the signing. I'm like, Matthew Boyd is getting 15 or 14 and a half. But then I start doing I start looking at like free agent projections and what guys are getting or what guys are going to be getting. And look, man, I'm with you. I'm more on the latter half of your comment. I don't know what the Cubs are doing or thinking anymore, because to me, they're not operating like a team in a big market. They're trying to thread the needle, kind of have these under the radar signings. Although I did see yesterday John Morosi report that they are maybe the biggest player in the back end of the bullpen market. Big time relievers, high leverage relievers. We saw them make a trade for Eli Morgan from the Guardians earlier this winter. To me, none of that matters unless you're getting a stud closer. So that's probably going to require a trade. Aroldis Chapman signed a 1-year deal with the Red Sox today. So that takes any type of reunion. And I know he's old, but it takes, at least he's still got gas and can be a back end of the bullpen type guy. Clyde, what's up, bud? Back to the Matthew Boyd stuff. What do you think of our White Sox getting Justin Slater? Look, the White Sox are just, is it Justin Slater you're talking about? Or Austin Slater? I think you're talking about Austin Slater, the outfielder. Austin Slater to me is just a dude. The only, I think it's Austin you're talking about. The only thing about Austin Slater that I do like is that he comes from Baltimore and he just worked with the new director of hitting for the Chicago White Sox. So, look, I mean, you got to look at his season a little bit differently than just a 209 batting average. And where's his slash line here? His slash line is 185, 308, 222. But with Baltimore, it's 246, 342. He had an OPS plus of 100, which is the league average. But if he's playing not every day for you, it's probably not bad. Nick Matan signing with us. I just got my Sox Fast passes, so we should get a burger on me if I see you there. Justin, appreciate you, man. I know you've been talking about us meeting at Sox Fest for a while. Look forward to doing that. Yeah, I mean, let's look up Nick Matan. I like the names. Like, there's creativity with you guys, which I really like. The thing about him that is nice is he's versatile. That's the one thing I do know about him. But again, he's another guy that's gotten up here and never really taken off. You know, he had one good year, 2022 with the Phillies and limited action. I mean, he only played 34 games, but he had a lot of pop and 72 at bats. He had 18 hits, 2 doubles, a triple, 5 bombs. He's got like sneaky power. He's not all that good defensively, so he probably fits in quite well with the White Sox, unfortunately. What else we got here? Ever heard of who's the biggest a-hole Chicago athlete you've ever had to deal with? Jake coming out strong, wants to make me go viral here. Look, here's the way I look at it. There's been guys that have come through this town on teams I love and don't like, and I could do without them. And there's guys on, like, I love a lot, like the 16 Cubs. For all of you Cub fans out there, the 16 Cubs had some of the best dudes of all time. That probably doesn't surprise anyone. And quite frankly, you know, that's probably what made them so good, is that their camaraderie in their room was as strong as you could possibly be. You know, sometimes you need an asshole to actually do good things, especially on teams. I think there's a difference between guys who are a-holes in person and then a-holes in the room, if that makes any sense. For the most part with me, I don't know. Like, I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I just treat these guys like dudes, like just like us. Like I would treat it like anybody sitting next to me. And that's been a really good way to connect with them, because I think a lot of times they are treated like they're this, you know, holier than thou type person. And by doing that, you build this pedestal. Look, they're 1% of the world, making 1% of the money. Some of the guys don't like that pedestal and just want to be like, hey man, how's life at home? Stuff like that. So I've been able to maneuver around some of that stuff. I don't necessarily have like one horrific story where I'm like, that guy is a complete tool. I've had moments where there have been guys that have been tools, but not like overall. I haven't had like somebody that has like pissed me off. Probably, I mean, if anything, if any of you guys know the Kenny Williams story with me 2 years ago, that's as big as it gets. So the Kenny Williams, when he told me to basically, you know, kiss off and that he's still effing here, well, that didn't work out. Eli says, don't be surprised if the Bulls are the biggest trade partners in the NBA. You're right, Eli. The way Nikola Vucevic is playing, he did it again last night, a double-double. Dude's an all-star today. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I think he's a virtual lock to be dealt. Interestingly enough, will Lonzo Ball do enough to warrant getting traded with a year left? He's played really well at both ends of the floor, especially defensively when he's on. It's kind of remarkable. We're almost 3 years to the day of him playing his last NBA game prior to this season, and he's actually back on the floor. Antonio, as a big White Sox fan, I just looked at the current roster and threw up in my mouth. It's actually worse than I thought. We're screwed. Antonio, you sound like a lot of us, man. But you got to remember where they are. They're at the very, very bottom. Like, they are literally, the foundation is not even built. They just tore down the old house, and the foundation of the old house is sitting in the ground, and they're all looking around like this. And they're like, yeah, we should probably rip that up too. That's where they are. So that's why you're throwing up in your mouth. Let's see. I actually like the Will Venable has me intrigued. The roster doesn't. The Garrett Crochet soon to be trade is the thing that I think should get us kickstarted. And if it doesn't, then we're back to throwing up in our mouth for a long time. It's Austin. Don't take my name, Justin. The real Phil Simms, as I like to call him. Why don't the Cubs go after Mason Miller from the A's? They keep messing around. He'll go to a contender. Let me tell you something about Mason Miller. I think he's got 3, if not 4 years left on his deal. He's coming off of an injury. We all know he's not a free agent until 20-30. So that's 25, 26, 27, 28. He's got 5 years of control. Phil, do you understand the type of prospect capital it's going to require to get Mason Miller? As long as you're comfortable doing that. And look, I've been saying they need an absolute lockdown dude in the ninth. They blew 26 saves. They blew 13 in the ninth. It's inexcusable for a team that's trying to win a division, let alone get to the World Series. If you don't address that problem, to me, you're not serious about winning. Are you going to do it by trading 3 of your top 100 prospects? Is that what it's going to take to get a guy who's that good with 5 years of control? 5, which means he's coming in under budget for 5 seasons. I mean, he'll get arbitration, but think about that. You are going to have to trade a minimum, at least 2 of your top 50, but 3 of your top 100, I would think. So that's why I think that you're looking. Antonio, Colson Montgomery's on the White Sox roster. According to ESPN, is he officially on the roster? Antonio, he's officially on the 40-man roster. He is not technically, he's not on the 26-man. They don't have to declare that until, spring training or actually opening day. So he's one of the 2 adds to the 40-man roster. That happened about 3 weeks ago. We did a Zoom with Colson Montgomery. Love everything about what this guy says. I really hope he performs because the fans will love him. He's a very authentic, cerebral athlete that I think this town can really rally behind. He's a Midwest guy. He's from Southern Indiana. So a lot to like. Let's hope it translates at the big league level. Johnny, what's up? Cubs seem to want to move Belly. If they do trade Belly, maybe the Cubs acquire Luis Robert if they think he can stay healthy. Thoughts? I love this for the Cubs. First of all, I don't like the idea of trading Cody Bellinger because I think you need another bat with Cody Bellinger. Just because you're not ecstatic that he opted in at $30 million, well, the idea of moving him for at this point, I'm thinking prospects. Now you're already not scary lineup is going to be less than scary. That's not good. So let's talk about Robert. Robert, in my opinion, is essentially a 1-year, $19 million deal. He's got 1 for 15 this year. He's got 2 club options on the back end with $2 million buyouts on both of them. Okay. So that is basically a $19 million deal. If you're thinking you're not going to opt into those player options, let's say he has another season where he has 35 homers, 35 doubles, stays on the field, then a team has a decision to make. But to me, this is about acquiring a player that needs a great season, okay, and should be motivated. He's not a guy that's motivated by, we saw that in the second half. I'll pull up to you his numbers. They're putrid. Antonio, you said you threw up in your mouth looking at the White Sox roster. Let me tell you something about Luis Robert's second half. You want to talk about throwing up all over yourself? Listen to this. His second half, I think he had 2 homers. That's just by memory at this point. His second half, my bad. He hit 216 with a 555 OPS, 3 homers, and 12 RBI. That's the second half of Luis Robert. Why, if I'm a team as a general manager, I'm buying that. To me, the only way to get value for Luis Robert is if you're packaging him with Garrett Crochet. But I do think the Cubs make a lot of sense for a Crochet Robert type deal. I really do. If the Cubs, Phil Simms, really trade Bellinger, will the Cubs really trade him to the Yankees? If so, they better go after Alonso or Guerrero. We talked about this on Inside the Clubhouse a couple of weeks ago, Bruce Levine and I. I love the idea of the Cubs signing Pete Alonso. First of all, I just love his edge he brings. That dude's legit. Like, he had a bad year, and I think he had 34 and 84, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pulling Pete Alonso up right now. Pete Alonso had a bad year, okay? Literally had a bad year. 34 homers, 88 RBI. He had an OPS plus of 123. Here's the other thing I love about Pete Alonso. 161 games, 57 games in a 60-game season, 152, 160, 154, and this year played 162. He never comes off the field. He's probably a 5 for 125 type guy. I would add him too already. I put him and Bellinger together. Where are you going to play Bellinger? You got him in the outfield. You can also DH him. Rest him a little bit. I love the idea of the Cubs. See, but Guerrero doesn't cost you. Guerrero costs you prospect capital and money. Alonso's a free agent. He would be loved at Wrigley Field. Justin, the reason I chose baseball is because it's been my dream to announce for them since I was like 3. I just finished my bachelor's in sportscasting, so one day I want to call games for Sox fans. Justin, you go get it, kid. Seriously, you go get it. Keep putting the work in, and good things happen, man. Every door is open. It might not look like it. I say this to people all the time. Every door's cracked. If you knock it down, the hard work is getting in the door. Okay? You get in the door, then arrange the floor plan. But don't let people knock you down. Keep going. Phil. And with Kenny, we all saw how that worked out. Thank God him and Han are gone. I think Phil means gone. But yeah, I see what you're saying, man. Rick, trying to get Rick on the podcast. David Rodriguez. Trade Stevenson. Terrell Smith can replace him. Back to the Bears. Wow, this is the longest we've gone without Bears talk in a long time. Tyreek Stevenson. I think his future is very much in doubt. He's a good football player. The discipline stuff. Let's see how he goes the next 5 weeks now that there's some more accountability in the room, hopefully. Eli, don't be surprised if Zach LaVine is also traded. I mean, I think everybody, including Zach himself, would not be surprised. It's more about moving that big-ass $45 million off of your salary, followed by Jokic, Curry, and then Zach LaVine and war. You're talking about NBA war. Yeah, that tells you the type of season Zach's had. He's actually been pretty good at both ends of the floor, which has been fun to watch. You just wish that would have come earlier, but at least he's finding it. Ray, can the Sox actually have a worse record in 25? No, I do not. No, I do not think that they will be. Keep in mind, it had been 64 years, okay? 64 years since a team, the 1962 Mets. 64 years it took to break that record, which quite honestly, I thought we would never see anybody break it because they were an expansion team. And the White Sox, of course, took care of that. I don't see that happening. I just don't. I'm looking at I don't even think they're, the White Sox expected like Pythagorean win-loss record this year was 48 and 114. That tells you that there were 7 games in there that they should have won that they didn't. There's a lot more than that, but even the way it all transpires, they put it in the blender and spit it back out. The White Sox should have had 48 wins. They are not. I know the roster sucks. I know there's a lot of young developing guys that are going to be here. There's no way the White Sox are worse than they were in 2024. No scenario. They may win 58 games, but think about that. If they do, they're 17 games bigger. If Wilyer Abreu is the headline prospect for Crochet, are you pissed? I would be. I don't see that happening. In fact, there was a report, I think also from John Morosi last week, that the White Sox are seeking trade partners with players, the high-end prospects, not high-end players. Abreu, great player, won the Gold Glove this year, but what are you really getting from him come 3 years from now when the White Sox might be contending for a wild card? Might. That's this now your best headliner of the trade is going to be 28, 29 walking out the door. Doesn't make sense. The REKAP Lunch Hour graphics brought to you by Mini Guff Productions. Pablo, man, you got all the names. Katie's she's not going to lose her job to you, I promise you that. But you're trying to find a way on the payroll. There it is. Yep. The lovely Reese McGuffey. She's awesome. Bill Sims, what do you think will happen with the Cubs at the winter meetings? Jed's on the clock. Definitely back into the bullpen. Supposedly, depending on who you talk to, and I've talked to Gordon Whitmire, who will be here to tape a Cubs podcast later here in the studio. He thinks there's going to be more action at the winter meetings than in the last 5 years. Let's hope so, because I've been at those things. Love covering them. One of my favorite events to cover by far. And it's been very bleh the last couple of years in those hotel lobbies. So looking forward to some chaos. Those are the best winter meetings. The Cubs, to me, need a high-end bat, a back into the bullpen stud closer, and then some more bridge guys in between. Other than that, what else do they need? So they're not getting Juan Soto. They may have to get creative in a trade, but I think they need 2 impact players, a bat and a bullpen guy, to really be serious about going for the NL Central in 2025. Santos has got, hold on, I need to come way up here just to make sure Santos' comment can get on the screen. I saw the trade proposal with Toronto and the Cubs. Cubs get Vlad, Kevin Gausman. The Blue Jays get Bush, Cody, and Cade Horton. The only way I'd make that trade is if Vlad signs an extension with the Cubs. Kevin has 2 years in control. Okay, so this trade would not happen unless it's an extension with Vlad Guerrero. Otherwise, what don't you like about this trade? I mean, you get a stud bat in Guerrero. You get a quality control pitcher for 2 years. It's a high-end top 3 guy. You're giving up Bellinger for Guerrero, basically. Michael Bush was a great story, great find by Jed Hoyer in the front office. Are you all that upset? And then Cade Horton. Guys, I'm a big prospects are prospects until proven otherwise. All right? So I like that trade, assuming the Cubs would sign him. Are you sure you and Kaplan don't ignore my comments and questions, Clyde? I'm living proof, son. You're right here. You're on the screen all the time. Phil's active today. Phil, the real Phil Simms. With the way the Dodgers were able to defer money for Ohtani, why haven't other teams done that? Other teams don't have the creative flexibility in their television deals like the Dodgers. The Dodgers have an $8 billion television deal. We've talked about the RSNs and where they're going, which is nowhere fast. I mean, look at our own town. We can't even get the White Sox right now. The White Sox are likely to lose somewhere between 40 and 50 million after the NBC Sports Chicago shutdown. There's just not a big market for RSNs right now. You saw the Diamond Sports deal. There's 11 teams in baseball without a home right now, most of which are going to be produced by MLB Productions. It's not a great format. And so the Dodgers are really in there's a couple of teams that are in really good situations. The Giants out west, the Philadelphia Phillies out east, really good television contracts. I believe the Mets are okay with SNY. So look, folks, this is a problem. And baseball's got a problem coming because of it. Clyde says, Clyde, look, man, we appreciate you. We do. We definitely appreciate you. Antonio, I know it's early. Can you grade the Cease and Kopech Fetty trades? Do you like any of the prospects? I think the Cease trade definitely is more profitable than the Kopech Fetty trade. The Kopech Fetty trade doesn't look good right now. It's all about Vargas. It's all about Miguel Vargas from the Dodgers. He was awful when he came to the White Sox. I think he had some kind of hitch in his swing. The only way you can fix those problems are in the offseason. He's got a lot riding on him. And maybe Chris Getz does too, because Michael Kopech was an absolute lights out dude for the Dodgers to win the World Series. Eric Fetty was good for the White Sox. He was not really that good in St. Louis. He's got a year left with them, though. Obviously, that you look at that trade overall, I think that trade is just kind of and the Dylan Cease trade looks really good. Iriarte had a cup of coffee with the White Sox, mostly out of the bullpen. I thought he was really good. And then Drew Thorpe, good. Thankfully, didn't need surgery. He looks like a dude. Okay. He looks like a dude. A lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff. Luis Ariz. We can't get Luis Ariz, DJ. What's the point of getting Luis Ariz? He's like 30 years old. Does Soto going to Boston give us a better trade package from Boston since it will be blocking both Montgomery Campbell? Yeah, I think anybody, like you look at the Phillies, like I'll bring up the Phillies for a second. I think the Phillies are another good home possibility for Garrett Crochet. But when you look at the MLB top prospects, the Phillies have, I believe, 2 shortstops in the top 100. Where's Trey Turner going? Absolutely nowhere. I think he's got 10 or 11 years left on that deal. The Phillies have number 26 overall prospect, Aiden Miller, shortstop. And then they have a 32 prospect. He's a pitcher. But I think further down the list here, they have an outfielder. Justin Crawford's been rumored to be in any Garrett Crochet trade. He's an outfielder, left-handed hitting outfielder, 6'2". I'd like to see the size a little bit. Don't want any 5'9" guys. Oh, here, the Phillies at 81, Starlin Caba, single A, 18-year-old, 5'9", 160. So give me the guy that's closer to the 26, which is Aiden Miller, closer to big league, 6'1", 205, already in Double A. That's kind of what I'm looking at, something like that. To Philly or Boston, I've been saying all along, Baltimore. Give me Baltimore. I think they have the best bats that line up with the White Sox. No. Phil, unfortunately, I don't. 25 out, 26 out. 27 is the only maybe. for me. That's a maybe. Okay. We need to see what kind of development we're getting here. So 27-28 at best. Since the Dodgers got Snell, could you see the Cubs getting Flaherty and or Walker Buehler? I think Buehler more than Flaherty. Flaherty's going to cost some money. He earned himself a big payday. And you look at the contracts these guys are getting. I mean, Snell's a Cy Young, a two-time Cy Young winner, 5 for 182. Flaherty, don't be surprised, like 4 for 96, 4 for 100. I'm telling you, you guys. I mean, we're talking about Boyd. Look at Boyd getting 2 for 30, basically. I seriously don't know why we're trading Crochet. Dude is incredible. We drafted and developed him. Antonio, so do you want to pay Garrett Crochet 4 to 5 years right now so he can pitch on a useless team in 25, a useless team in 26, probably an under 527? So there's 3 of your 5 years. What are you thinking? 2 more years at now you're pushing this down the line. He's older. You're hoping he's still healthy. I think he looks like he could be a guy that can be. I don't know, man. Again, ships passing in the night. Timing is everything about life. 2 years left on the deal. Sox are going to be bad for 2 years. He will be the most coveted player in the trade market, period, on every team. This is the time to strike. Find the desperation team. Justin, you like Baltimore too. I want, screw that. Give me Mayo, man. I want Mayo. Cubs fan wouldn't mind. The Cubs make too much sense for Garrett Crochet. Tell me why the Cubs would not do this. Matthew Shaw looks like a dude. I know he's 5'9", but he looks like a dude. The Cubs may like, we're not trading Matthew Shaw. Well, then you're not getting Garrett Crochet. Matthew Shaw's 22. Owen Cassie's 34. I'm talking about prospects. They have the 44th prospect. They have the 55th. You go down the line here. The Cubs make way too much sense. You package that with Luis Robert. By the way, as a Sox fan, would not hurt at all. All this Cubs Sox stuff, that would not hurt to me. Would not hurt to me at all. All right, couple things here before we get out of here for the day. So yesterday I wanted to implement something. First of all, a couple things. Tonight, let's talk about this first. Tonight, Felco Football Recap Live. Cap, Olin Kreutz, and Tom Waddle. This will be the first time the guys are all together since the firing of Matt Eberflus. Cap and Olin did a very entertaining and very widely watched surprise Felco Football Recap Live on Friday afternoon. This will be the first time we get Tommy back in the saddle. Looking forward to seeing these guys go at it. I want to see what their thoughts are about the next head coach. And then, for those of you interested or out by Aurora, next Tuesday, a week from today, we're going to be out in Aurora. Site survey's done. Call them up. We've had great attendance. Last week, we were out in, where were we? Help me out. Downers Grove? No, we already did Downers Grove. Orland Park. Gosh, the great people of Orland Park. That was fantastic. It was packed. Expect the same out in Aurora as the Bears get set. It'll be after the first game of the Thomas Brown Experience. So make sure you make an appointment to be with us for both of those. Okay, so yesterday I wanted to do a bet or start a recap bet of the day. I did tweet it, so I want to make sure I'm clear that because I didn't mention it on the recap lunch hour, it still counts because I tweeted it 21 hours ago. All right. So that's at 4:00. I tweeted, here it is. All right. So Cortland Sutton hit the over yesterday. We are starting a new feature here, the recap bet of the day. Here we're going. I'm going to track it. Tonight, Jalen Brunson, over 7.5 assists plus 105. You can shop that around. I have shopped it around. Most of the local books, DraftKings, FanDuel, etc., are posting the same price as we speak. Jalen Brunson, just for those, he's averaging 7.8 assists a game. So he's averaging the over. But if you want to look at the game logs, I'd say, yeah, go ahead. Here's his assist totals for the last, let's say, 10-ish games. 9, 6, 7, 17, 8, 10, 11, 10, 7, 8. All right? I think if anything, you may have to sweat it out. Sweat with me, folks. Let's become, we're 1-0 on the year. We're officially 1-0. It's where you want to be. The recap bet of the day, New York Knicks guard, Jalen Brunson. I'm going over 7.5 assists. That's plus 105. I've already put my bet in. The recap account will make that bet. The recap account last night was all over. By the time we got the Cortland Sutton bet in, it was already minus 120. So we are $100 richer in the recap account, I believe, because of Cortland Sutton. So don't have to follow me. It's a friendly advice. We did talk about that last week as a group, playing the Bears over on Thursday. It should have hit the over. We can thank Matt Eberflus for that, because at worst, it should have been a tie, gone to overtime, and it didn't happen, as we know. Antonio, appreciate you, my friend. Stay safe, stay healthy, all of you, as well as we continue to bring you the Recap Lunch Hour. Reminder that tonight, Feldco Football Recap Live. Cap, Olin, Tom Waddle come to you, and we'll have everything Bears. As for the first time in at least 5 to 6 days, it's been all as calm at Hallis Hall, likely because the Bears have the off day, at least the players do, and then they fire it back up again when they start preparing for the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday afternoon in what is a very winnable game now that Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason, the running backs, are both on IR. They're bringing a practice squad guy up to the active roster. So they're a complete mess out there. They're going nowhere fast. Maybe, just maybe, Kyle Shanahan becomes available. We all could wish. This has been the Recap Lunch Hour with me, Ryan McGuffey. Remember, I'm going Jalen Brunson, over 7.5 assists. We'll take a peek at it. I'll put it on the socials. We'll put a YouTube short out in case you missed this, and we will reconvene after the game to see whether or not we hit. We'll see you tonight on Felco Football Recap Live. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Recap Lunch Hour.